Guten Abend, herzlich willkommen zum dritten Livestream der Monheim Triennale. Ich muss es sicherlich nicht mehr erzählen, alle haben das schon in der Zeitung gelesen. Wir mussten unser Festival aufgrund der vollkommen unübersichtlichen Situation, die derzeit auf der ganzen Welt herrscht, verschieben. Das neue Datum, schreibt euch das alle schon auf, 1. bis 4. Juli 2021. Wir sind ja als Triennale in der glücklichen Lage, unser Festival nicht absagen zu müssen, sondern verschieben zu können. Wir werden also erst im nächsten Jahr mit dem Turnus der Triennale beginnen, 21, 24, alles verschiebt sich ein Jahr nach hinten. Und wir hoffen sehr, dass wir viele von unseren Künstlerinnen und Künstlern auch 2021 hier in Monheim begrüßen können. Obwohl das jetzt verschoben ist und wir jetzt im Moment uns nicht mehr darauf freuen können, dass das schon in wenigen Monaten, wenigen Wochen stattfindet, das ganze Event, freuen wir uns, heute noch einmal einen unserer Künstlerinnen präsentieren zu können. Lakecia Benjamin in New York ist Saxophonistin, Bandleaderin, wunderbare Kollegin und ich freue mich sehr, dass sie heute hier bei uns ist. Hi Lakecia.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Okay. Thanks so much to take the time to be with us. We are still trying, even though we had to postpone the whole festival, we are still trying to kind of keep the people here posted in what we are planning and how the connection between all those different musicians and different musics we are trying to put here in one festival, how these connections are working. Actually, what I forgot to say in the beginning, what we just heard was 2 tracks of the new CD of Ava Mendoza, also one of the players who are supposed to be featured in our festival and who's also coming from New York, actually. Do you know Ava Mendoza, Lakecia?
No, I do not.
Yeah, she's also from New York, and actually she's born in Brazil, but she's living in New York. Anyway, here's Lakecia Benjamin, and I'm very glad to have you here. Lakecia, you said you would start us off with some music you just recorded for the BBC?
Yeah, I just recorded for London TV on radio. I did a quartet version of My Favorite Things. So what I'm going to do now is play the pre-recorded 3 other saxophones, but I will still play the lead saxophone to John Coltrane's My Favorite Things.
Yeah, let's hear that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds great. So this is something you just did recently because you couldn't play with others. So you recorded all your saxophones and did this for a live festival. You told me.
No, this is actually for like a live radio show
Okay.
that I'm doing an interview on. But I've been doing these things on my Instagram, my social media, and people have taken interest in it. So they asked me, could I do a special one before this particular feature that I have coming?
Okay, so here's coming up something completely new out of the sheer impossibility to do music as we are used to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and of course, as we can hear, my favorite things, of course, refers to the project you recently did. You released a new CD just the beginning of the year. Beautiful CD, I have to say. I really love it. First to last song, amazing music. It must have been a long time work on that, wasn't it?
It sounds like it was longer than it was, but it actually was. I came up with the idea probably in 2019 in like June or July. I started playing with the idea of doing it, and in August we recorded the CD in 2019.
Wow! I mean, that's just some weeks. That's amazing. And you wrote all the arrangements, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that's. I mean, the whole project. I mean, we cannot actually not even mention everybody who's playing there. It's an assembly of all the great, of not all, but a lot of great names. And what impressed me a lot was also of several generations of people working in the field of jazz. Not only the old people who brought it up, but also people doing it today. This I thought was very. I don't know, it just touched me a lot to bring people together from different generations.
Yeah.
Also, then I heard, or I read in some interview, Lakecia, that you knew Alice's music, Alice Coltrane's music. Actually, I have to say this for the people, maybe somebody's out there who doesn't know the album. It's called Pursuance, the Coltranes. So it's a dedication to Alice and John Coltrane. And I read in some interview that you knew Alice's music before you discovered John Coltrane. Is that right?
Yeah, so one of the actual singers on the project, Georgia M. Muldrow, is a very, very close friend of mine, and we were in school, and she had been playing me a lot of music, Al Green, Sly and the Family Stone, really getting into like the soul funk thing. And then one day she played me Alice Coltrane's album, Patah El Daoud. And I said, oh, wow, this is amazing. So we sat there listening to the whole thing, and my favorite song on the album was Turiya Ramakrishna, which is a kind of song that kind of highlights praise to like being alive and, God and just being present.
And so, which is also on Pursuance, actually, on the actual record now.
Yeah, the back in those, like for the CDs, you could look through the booklet.
I know.
And I was looking through the booklet, and I used to go to the booklets always to find out who I was going to learn their music next. So I saw Pharoah Sanders, Joe Henderson, and I was already familiar with them. And then it got down Rashid Ali, and at the time, I was in Rashid Ali's band. So I said, oh, I'm going to talk to him about this woman. And then a little like mark on the bottom, it says something like, thank you to John Coltrane or something. So I thought to myself, oh, wow, she has a brother. The computer and Googled him, and when I Googled, I saw all these CDs, everything, and that they were married, and it really intrigued me. So I actually went back and put all the CDs in order, chronological. Okay. And then I started from the beginning and went all the way like through his career to learn and to see what he was about.
Well, that's a lot of music, right? I mean, John Coltrane's oeuvre was really big.
It was a lot, but I think if you're really starting to learn about John Coltrane, it was maybe one of the purest ways you can do it, because I had no insight on him. I had no knowledge of Miles Davis, Monk, meeting Charlie Parker. I had none of that information. All I had was the music. So I got to actually listen to it and watch him grow from like, the 50s all the way. And, what I mean? I got to watch the whole process and hear how the music developed, because by the time I got to the last John Coltrane CD, it's the last CD.
Yeah.
So it really was intriguing to watch somebody go through all this in like a 20-year span.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. Excuse me, I didn't hear that. No, it's just my feedback coming here through the. We are actually trying. What is interesting is that I actually started discovering Alice Coltrane through your CD now, rediscovering. I knew some of her collaboration with her husband, but I didn't know so much of her own works that she did after he died.
Yeah.
And there are some amazing things like the Transfiguration album, I think 78, the live album where also Prima is on, one of the tracks I like.
Prima, it's got Reggie Workman on it and Roy Haynes on that.
Yeah, and I love that thing on your CD so much. So I immediately started looking for Prima in the original in Alice Coltrane's version, which was nice.
That was actually my hope, that people would be so intrigued by all of John Coltrane's songs and Alice Coltrane's songs, they didn't know it would bring them closer to jazz. And the idea behind putting all the guests, like maybe you heard Jazz Mia, so maybe now you discover Jazz Mia's music, or to each jazz legend, you would discover more about jazz because you would start to like Spotify their music or Google them and try to figure out where can you hear more of them.
Yeah, I already did that. There are already some names on my list, what to check out next, which I took from your CD. So that's great.
Yeah.
There's one more thing I just wanted to ask you about the Pursuance album. I read that you recorded the whole thing with everybody in the studio in 2 days. Is that right?
That is right, except for a couple exceptions. So what happened is we did 2 marathon days. So 2 12-hour days on August 21st and 22nd, and everybody, I gave them a time slot. At the time, I had no management, no anything. So I write everybody, you come at 12, you come at 1, you come at 2. So even when I'm playing, I'm texting them, are you outside? Okay, finish playing. Okay. And the only songs we did not do that day was Ron Carter. He had a change in his schedule. Mm-hmm. So I booked a studio separately for him on a separate day on August, I think, 17th. Just him for that song, and for Om Shanti, we had another problem we did that day. But the other, 11 tracks were recorded those 2 days of people back to back coming. So, you know how it is recording. So sometimes somebody's late, then we have to do this song and this. And because it's jazz, they all know each other. They're all friends. They're talking and eating. Hey, nice to see you. So it was like a big almost party in the whole studio.
Yeah, and you had to keep them going to work.
Yeah, that was I never left the booth. I stayed in the booth and let everybody party, and I just kind of was like, okay.
Yeah, but I was wondering, Lakecia, is that also an artistic choice because you wanted a special sound, or is it just because you wanted to save studio time, or what was the purpose behind that way of working?
Because it's rare in August, especially now with the things going on. It's hard. There's no tours, but August is a big tour time in America. It's a lot of festivals. So it was hard. It was amazing that all these people were free in the middle of August during the tour season. So those were the only 2 days that everyone was free. Mm-hmm. So we picked those times because that's all we could do.
Okay, so it was not a question about a special sound, but it was just logistics.
Well, no, logistical, yes. But when I picked each guest, each generation had a purpose. So if you were between 70 and 90, I wanted people that had played with Alice or John Coltrane, and I wanted people that were jazz legends and that I felt needed greater recognition, and that were also living and keeping the music alive and passing it down to the younger generation. Mm-hmm. If you were between 50 to 70, you were people that when I was a kid, you were like 20, and you were the Young Lions, you were the Greg Osby, the Regina Carters. I was listening to you. I was watching you on the jazz festivals. I was reading about you and hoping one day I could be this. And if you were between 20 to 40, you were in my generation, and you had to be a band leader. Mm-hmm. You had to be innovative and paying tribute to jazz and the legacy of it, but you also had to be changing it and moving the music forward. And you had to be you had to be a leader. You couldn't just be playing with other people. You had to be actively a front name trying to, move the music. So those were that's how I came up with the people. And once I made those guidelines, I could easily pick the members.
That's actually an aspect I found also in the other two albums I know of you as a band leader, Retox and Rise Up. You always like seem to assemble a group of musicians, like a community of musicians together to realize a special project. So this is not this way of working is kind of something you do regularly, right?
It's definitely my philosophy. I believe that it takes like a whole village to make things happen.
Yeah, it takes a whole village to raise a child. That's right.
Yeah.
Would you play us another tune from that Pursuance album?
No, okay. I'm gonna play. Even though on Central Park West on the CD I put a little bit more of a hip hop feel on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play like the original way, so you guys can get an idea of where it came from.
Okay, let's hear that. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. When I listened to what you played now, I thought so much about the I don't know where I read this, you saying that it didn't make sense to you to play original versions because John Coltrane already did a Perfect Centers Park West, so you didn't have to redo it. You had to like make a new version of it. But still, I loved this version a lot. So this brings me to the last week. I had this meeting here with Julia Uleha and Aram Bayakian, who made an album called The Book of Transfigurations, and that we talked about transfigurations of songs and songs or tunes like being living beings that develop, that evolve through time. And that's kind of what I hear also when I hear Pursuance, that these versions you do, like they give a new life or another view on the same song. Is that how you feel about it too?
I just feel that, like, especially for people like John Coltrane and Alice Coltrane, I mean, they are the inventors of the song, the creators. It's kind of like the perfect, whatever that song, the original message of the song is what they played because they're the ones that came up with the whole idea and the conception in the beginning. But I also feel that the greatest, tribute you can pay to somebody is to bring people closer to their work and to pay true honor. The only way I can pay honor to somebody is by being myself. If I can't pay tribute to you by trying to be you. I mean, they say, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but I think creatively to offer a present to a master is what we all are striving to do,
Yeah. I always felt like this listening to John Coltrane, that there's no way to try to copy that. It's just to try to get the message, and perfectly said. Well, there's so much more music. You were also to bring the Soul Squad, your band, over. But I don't know, we don't have so much time now. And I just felt like also asking you, because we hear all those things from New York in this special time now with the disease. How is actually the situation now? How are you doing? How are you holding up with all those problems that are in the city?
Well, I don't live in the actual city anymore. I'm from the city, so I live maybe 30 minutes outside, so more in they call it downstate, but it's in the state of New York versus New York City, so it's about 30 minutes out. But my friends are all there, and it's someplace I was going every day when I was working. So even here, this is the epicenter of where the actual disease started. The disease started in Westchester and then spread to New York City. So we were on lockdown here maybe since the 12th or 13th already because the disease was getting out of control, and they have a special containment center here. I live maybe, I want to say 5 or 6 blocks from one of the testing sites. The first one that they had in America is where I live. And it seems to be like here in New York, they have a hard time getting a control over it. And my particular part is getting a little better, but in the city, it seems to be what I'm seeing on the news every day is, the cases are doubling by the thousands per day, and we're having at least 600 deaths a day. So that's where the latest 2 days of what the governor and the mayor have been saying to us.
And it doesn't seem there's no kind of like glimmer of hope. It doesn't seem they can handle the whole problem a little better due to the things they do, like people have to stay home and stuff.
Yeah, the hardest part about this is that it's hard to see what's really happening because I'm stuck inside. So I'm only getting the reports from people, my friends, but I have friends that are in the medical field that are working there, and they are discharging people, and I do know some people that have recovered. But in the jazz community, especially here in New York, I do know at least 5 or 6 people that have passed away. That were legends. Wallace Roney passed away. Ellis Marsalis is gone. Alex Lane is gone. Bucky Pizzarelli has gone. So it is Onagio Allen Gums died yesterday. I'm not sure if it's from the disease or just life, but we are losing a lot of our masters because the masters live in New York, and some of the young people are going as well. So, it's hard to say because outside it's 70 degrees, it's sunny. There are like some geese out in the pond right now. So we're just trying to keep positive and hopeful, but they tell us that in New York, these next 2 weeks, we are approaching our apex. So they advise, even if you're going to the grocery store, to just not go.
Oh, that sounds bad. And it feels so bad to be over here and nothing we can do.
Yeah, this is the state of things. The positive thing, like I said, it is sunny. So it's hard to realize that that's even happening outside because it looks completely like Earth is like living its best time. But it is a little scary because I'm a little worried about some of my friends on the project as well because they live in New York and this is where they are and they're in their 80s. And, they're in the vulnerable crowd for this.
So we just have to pray and wish the best to all these people.
Yeah, we definitely have to pray and well wishes, and we definitely have to just stay inside. Let the professionals and government people do their jobs, and also pray that the government officials can, make sound, wise decisions.
So, but that seems that we are probably right to postpone our whole festival because we cannot count on having you over here in 2 months.
I was playing maybe in June, at least 10 or 11 major festivals, like big ones, and a lot of those, I would say 9 of them have postponed to the fall, and a couple of them are probably still going. I would have to talk to my management about it, but it seems that in the United States we are now starting to postpone June, where before we had positive wishes for it.
And is there any of these festivals trying to do like online versions or something like this?
I haven't heard. I've heard of some festivals in Europe doing online festivals. In the States, so far, no. We have a festival that just is going on called State and Living Room Festival. It had Chick Corea, Joe Lovano, I think Herbie Hancock. So there's a bunch of musicians that are doing online streams. Jazz Lincoln Center is still doing online streams because some musicians are a couple and they live in the same house. Some musicians here in New York, they're still in college, so it's maybe 5 or 6 of them in the house, so they have a band. So we have been trying to do live streams. We've been doing interviews. Like tomorrow, I'll be interviewing Dee Dee Bridgewater. At the same time now, on my internet, I do it on Facebook Live and Instagram Live. So we'll be talking about the CD and the album. Next week, I'll do Regina Carter. Then I'll do Gary Bartz. So there are things going on in the web to the best of the ability. But it's, to me, it's still not the same as playing for people and getting that interaction. One of my favorite things is to travel the world and meet new people in different cultures. Like somebody talking to you, and we're so far, we're not from the same place, but we can talk about John Coltrane, and you play the bass. We can play and collaborate. Those are like the most precious things to me. So that is sad for me.
Yeah, well, we miss this all over the place. The same here. We are like stuck inside. There's nothing we can do. We try to kind of do things in the net, but of course, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
So again, Lakecia, thank you so much for taking the time. And we definitely hope to have you on the festival next year, and then we can meet maybe and play more closer together.
If we definitely have the festival next year, it's going to be the biggest party of all the festivals in Europe, because it's going down in 2021 if this goes on.
Yeah. Would you mind playing another song for us before we split?
Would you like another Coltrane one or just an a cappella sax? I'll give it to you since you have a decision.
Well, if I had to choose, I'd take the a cappella sax for this time.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Lakecia.
This time I just do something in the pocket of maybe Soul Squad.
Cool. Ooh, yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Well, you told me that's something you never do. Maybe you should think about doing it a little more. I really enjoyed it so much. I don't know if you saw me dancing here.
Yeah.
Lakecia, thanks again so much for taking the time to be with us. Please take good care and stay healthy, and love and everything best to
People
all
out
your
there
friends.
too. Stay healthy. We need you, Germany.
Yeah, we'll be seeing each other next year, 1st to 4th of July.
I buy everybody drinks on me at the festival.
All right. Bye bye, Lakecia.